riding through Prescott National Forest in Arizona. Starting in the desert at Congress and ending in the mountains in Prescott. This is part 36 of our cross-country ride from Texas to California and back again. Passing the last businesses we'll see as we're heading into the hills northeast of Congress. The roads to the left and to the right here lead to the original mines of the area. The mines boomed with the gold rush in the 1890s. Arizona's largest gold producer was the Congress mine. The Congress mine is currently closed, and the area is now considered a ghost town. We are riding through the Date Creek Mountains. There are a few quartz mines in the mountains still working today. The highest peak in these mountains is 3,477 feet. We're coming up to the turnoff for Granite Mountain Hotshots Memorial State Park. The park is on our left, up the mountain. It is a memorial for 19 Granite Mountain firefighters who lost their life. In June 2013, fighting the Yarnell Hill fire. The park has a short hike to a lookout looking over the area and the town of Yarnell. The hike continues to the memorial and to where the men were found. The town of Yarnell. Yarnell sits at 4,850 feet and has 649 residents. My turn to ride first. Yarnell has some antique shops, a few RV parks, and the Shrine of St. Joseph. The Shrine of St. Joseph is in the hills to the northwest of the town. It has a crucifixion, stations of the cross, and a great view. Paul's going first again. Yarnell has a few annual festivals people travel to experience. The Buzzards Bash is a celebration for the migrating turkey vultures. And Yarnell Days, which has antique cars, clowns, and a parade. Yarnell is about halfway between the desert and Prescott National Forest. A sign coming into town says where the desert breeze meets the mountain air. Riding into the small town of Peeples Valley. The businesses are on the highway, but there's a large subdivision on the left. T-Bird Cafe on our right is the local and visitor hangout. They are known for good food, as well as showcasing some local artwork and music. This area is known more for horses and ranching than it is mines. Kirkland Junction. The road to our left, making this a junction, goes to the tiny town of Kirkland. Coming into the town of Wilhoit. On the left, this looks like a tornado or flood siren to me, but I can't find information on it, so if you know, please add it in the comments below. We are now in Prescott National Forest. We're slowly going up in elevation. We're now at 5,075 feet. Prescott National Forest runs more or less north-south, with the town of Prescott on its east side. We are on Arizona State Highway 89, crossing the forest, riding slightly northeast. The second half of this road trip is from California to Texas. If you've been following my videos, you will notice we do a bit of a zigzag. This is to stay off the freeways, in the mountains, and seeing as much of the scenic route and twisty roads that we can. Prescott National Forest has camping and hunting, but there are sometimes campfire and shooting bans. Check the National Forest website for details. The U.S. Forest Service also has prescribed burns in the forest. These dates are also on the website. There are cattle grazing allotments in Prescott National Forest. Some are seasonal and some are year-round. This explains the cattle guards we have seen periodically on the roads. There are many campgrounds, and there are 3 cabins that are rentals from the U.S. Forest Service. The cabins are all historic buildings. A schoolhouse, a ranger's house, and a cabin built to help manage the forest fires. Pulling off for a second to check out the view. And back on the road. Rock climbing, fishing, and horseback riding are common activities in Prescott National Forest. There are some campsites set up for horses with corrals and troughs. These are on or close to the trails for equestrian, hiking, and bicycles. Some are also close to lakes for non-motorized boats. It's my turn to ride in the front for a bit. There are trails and campgrounds in the forest for OHV riding. Some trails and roads may be closed due to snow and ice. The National Forest website has the usage for these trails rated as light. This is a fun road to ride and a good example of why we choose the twisty mountain roads instead of the freeways. The road almost to ourselves, beautiful scenery, and the twisties that make us smile. There are a few open riding areas for off-road vehicles in the Prescott National Forest. One of these areas is an old gravel pit that's 400 acres with 20 miles of trails. This includes 2 cross-country areas and a children's section. A staging area with ramps, and a campground. You do need a permit to ride here, and information is found on the U.S. Forest Service website. There are 450 non-motorized trails in Prescott National Forest. Some of these trails do not allow bicycles either. There are hiking trails that go out from every campground. Many of the trails connect, so you may spend many nights in the wilderness. Some trails are only accessible by four-wheel drive vehicle. There are 450 miles of trails open to bicyclists, with a few of the trails built especially for mountain bikes. With steep terrain and crossing a few creeks. Many of the trails meet, so you may go for a short ride or you may ride for days. The average temperature here in the summer is 85 during the day and 55 degrees at night, making it the perfect temperature for summer riding. And another reason we're in the mountains and not riding through more desert. The average high in the winter is 51 degrees and the average low is 22. It does snow an average of 13 inches a year. On our left is a frog hopping across the road. It was far enough away when I passed, but getting pretty close to Paul. It feels like we turned the corner and now we're in the forest. The more common trees here are ponderosa pine, Douglas fir, and white fir. We are entering the town of Prescott. Prescott is home to the Whiskey Off-Road Race. This is a race for mountain bikes. The rider may choose to race 15, 30, or 50 miles. The race starts on Whiskey Road downtown and goes into Prescott National Forest. There are 3 days of festivals around the race, which includes concerts. The county courthouse is on our right and Whiskey Row is on our left. The large number of saloons in one place gives Whiskey Row its name. During the gold rush, Whiskey Row had 40 saloons in this area. In July of 1900, the Earp brothers and Doc Holliday were patrons of Whiskey Row. The modern-day Whiskey Row has art galleries, candy shops, and a Harley-Davidson store. We rode around the town square to check it out, then found parking and had lunch. Thanks for joining us on our ride from the deserts of Arizona to the mountains through Prescott National Forest. Please hit like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video, and add any comments below. Hit the notification bell and you will be notified for our next videos. We are continuing through the National Forest in Arizona on our way back to Texas. Check out my social media to follow my moto adventures.